the oil that is being developed in the United States, its cost of production is about $80 per barrel. So if those oil prices remain at this benchmark, oil production in the United States will crumble. And I know that in many oil-producing countries, their budgets are actually based on this calculation of around $90 per barrel. So this level of oil prices is not in anyone's interest.
You might not recognize him with his shirt on, but of course that's Vladimir Putin. Joining us now to talk about all this is Marin Katusa, and he's Chief Energy Investment Strategist at Casey Research, and a brand new book, which is sure to be a New York Times bestseller, The Colder War: How the Global Energy Trade Slipped from America's Grasp. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
All right, does he have it right? Does Putin have the whole scenario figured out correctly?
He's definitely reestablished Russia as a global superpower, and not only that, he's got the other emerging markets working in concert against U.S. interests globally. So he's winning the Colder War right now.
And that's, you know, when he went into Ukraine, I mean, one of the reasons that our allies weren't all behind us here is because they rely on Russia for a good portion of their energy.
Oil, natural gas, uranium, and look, Kissinger even agrees what we've written in the book, where Putin's reactionary to the Western agenda in Ukraine.
So that's, I mean, that's not good. So how did we get to this point? When did it start, and how bad is it?
Well, look, under the Obama's failed foreign policy, it's really moved the world against the interests of America globally. So you look at, you know, Judgment Day for the petrodollars coming. That's significant to the American way of life. But more importantly, Europe, Western Europe, has become more addicted to Russian sources of oil and natural gas. You look at someone like Germany. They increase more today than 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And you know, it's the Germans make up 25% of Gazprom, which is Russia and the world's largest producer of natural gas. 25% of the revenue is just Germany.
Wow, that is huge. And of course, Germany is one of those countries that stuck out my mind most when I talked about that Ukraine situation. Why is it that the U.S. can't compete with Russia, you know, as a lifeline or a supply line to the European countries? And would Keystone, which now the Democrats are saying, hey, all of a sudden we woke up this morning and we want to approve it to save Mary Landrieu, will that make a difference?
Infrastructure. You nailed it right at the head. Why can't America go and export infrastructure? The Keystone XL is critical for one point. It's America's choice, Venezuelan heavy oil or Canada's heavy oil. The refineries switched over and they need that heavy oil to blend with the light oil for the crack spread and to keep their exports out. Now, the interesting thing that no one's talking about globally is Saudi Arabia and OPEC is actually at war with U.S. shale. And the Russians will benefit from any actions on November 27th from OPEC's meeting. The interesting thing is America plans on exporting LNG, which is in contrast to Qatar's plans, major OPEC member, but most importantly, the NGLs and condensates. And that's what Saudi Arabia does not want America to export. So the #1 ally in the oil world for U.S. is now becoming its enemy.
That's amazing. It really is. And by the way, that's, you know, we were allied with Saudi Arabia, the moderate so-called Arab regimes. Obama's alienated them all for various reasons, not just this. But let's talk about, you know, Putin. Let's take it beyond energy for a second here. They just met, you know, in China, and they talked about the awkwardness and whatnot. And the next day, Putin announces he's going to be flying long-range bombers in the Gulf of Mexico, unprecedented. He talked about, we know what they're doing in Ukraine, 50,000 troops possibly reported on the border. So he does this right after he meets with Obama. That's a message, no?
And also, let's not forget the major oil and natural gas deal to follow up with the world's biggest one with the Chinese. But most importantly, 8 nukes agreed to be built with Iran. Yeah. That is a major game changer for America's policy.
Well, you would think it would be, especially with the talks with Iran. But you know, as long as Iran promises they're not going to harm anybody, it seems like Obama will be satisfied. Can this change? Can we retake? Can we regain what we were?
Definitely.
How?
And that's where we get the conclusion of the book is, unfortunately, because of Obama's failed foreign policy, if the next leader of America continues in the trend that Obama has set, Judgment Day will come. And remember, if the petrodollar falls, so does the American way of life. That is so critical to the future of America.
30, so what do you mean by the petrodollar?
So the petrodollar was Kissinger, Nixon set it up, where Saudi Arabia, the rest of OPEC would trade Oil in terms of US dollar, the emerging markets are now not trading in US dollar. That demand goes away for the US dollar.
Not good.
Not good for
Yeah,
America.
not good at
Now,
all.
if America chooses a leader that can confront Putin, remember Putin's a representative of the new Colder War in the emerging markets, then we've got
We shall see. We'll all hope for the next 2 years. And that's Marin Katusa. And the book is The Colder War, How the Global Energy Trade Slipped from America's Grasp. Thank you very much. Good luck with the book. We'll be back with more of the show, folks. But first, each year, over 4 million people fly on commercial airlines worldwide, but we may have never left the ground if not for the Wright brothers. Let's take a look back now with this hour's American Moment.
December 17, 1903, was a calm day at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, when two brothers, Orville and Wilbur Wright, readied their aircraft for a demonstration that would change history forever. Their initial flight only lasted for 120 feet, but it was enough to eventually pave a pathway to the stars. Although the brothers were not the first to build and fly experimental aircraft, they were the first ones to invent the mechanical controls that made fixed-wing, powered flight possible. But that proved both a blessing and a curse to an industry in its infancy. The Wright brothers' practice of demanding excessive fees for use of their patents and their litigious nature had an immediate and negative effect on the growth, safety, and improvement of the new industry of aviation. In 1917, Congress, recognizing air power would play a vital role in the upcoming war, passed legislation which, in effect, reduced the Wright brothers' royalty of $1,000 per plane to $200. The reduced fees sparked an explosion of growth and innovation in the new industry. Although initially outraged, the Wright family quickly realized the lower fees made it possible for more airplane manufacturers to enter the field. With more manufacturers came more planes, and with more planes came more royalties. Soon after, their royalties had exceeded $2 million in an age before income tax. Soon America was leading the air revolution. In 1927, young aviator Charles Lindbergh departed New York's Roosevelt Field for a 3,600-mile, 33-and-a-half-hour transatlantic journey to Le Bourget Field in Paris, France. The dream of the Wright brothers had become a reality, and America had led the way thanks to Orville and Wilbur Wright. For Newsmax TV, I'm Bill Curtis, and this is an American Moment.